Hello viewers, welcome to Vic Concept College English with Ernest. In today's lesson, we want to discuss the basic format of an informal letter. So in this video, we are going to discuss the basic format like we have on the board. The basic format, that is what you must know basically about informal letter writing. So let's get started. When writing an informal letter, the important aspects that you must consider include, before we get started or begin with that, an informal letter is a type of letter that we write to people who are related to us in their private capacities. So let's get started. The address. When writing the address, you go to the top right hand corner of your paper and then you write the name of your school, because I'm going to teach us to use name of school and probably residential address, and I will explain the conditions, okay, that can help you to choose the one to adopt or to use. So let's say you want to write an address using the name of your school. We're going to have something like, so this is what you are going to get. The name of the school, first line, or the location of the school, and then the town or the place. So address is very simple. It can usually take something like just 3 lines like this. Keja Senior High School, Oba Kijobi Road, GRA, Keja. Now, every line of the address must be marked off by a comma. And then when you get to the end of the address, you introduce a full stop. Okay? Then after that, you write the date. Today's date, for example, is 15th of January. So you're going to write 15th January 2025. Full stop. So you have another thing to learn from here. There are different house styles, like I mentioned at the beginning, of formats, okay, like the American style, the British style, that will tell you to leave an indent, okay, before starting the date, or to leave a line. But the standard British format doesn't require leaving any line or any space. So just write it plain and straight. And this type of address writing is called the block format. That is where all the words, the lines of the address start from the same margin. And then when you are writing the date, you write 15 marked with ordinal marker. The TH is called an ordinal marker. 15th January. After the month, you have a comma. And then finally, you end the date by writing the year. Okay? Please, be very careful. When you write something like 15th, and you move the ordinal marker to the top of the cardinal number, this is called a cardinal number, while 15th is called an ordinal number because it has been marked with an ordinal marker, TH. We call this an ordinal marker, ST, and all those stuff that they write with cardinal numbers. This one does not represent dates. This one means position. This one means position. Like we are talking about the 15th position. Or someone took the 15th position in a class. So you are going to write 15 raised to power what? TH as in mathematics. That is with the ordinal marker raised to the top of it. This is grossly unacceptable in letter writing. Take note of this. Then another thing that you must avoid with the writing of dates, okay, in letter writing is the use of what? Cardinal number without marking it with an ordinal marker, and then you write what? January. This is not acceptable. If you write 15 January 2025, if you are going to write it this way, then, okay, this is unacceptable. If you want to write something like this, then what you should do is January January. This is not acceptable in British style. In American format, you can have something like this. And then you can have this January 15, 2025. This is acceptable in British format. But when you write it this way, then do not introduce the cardinal marker. So, this one, for example, is correct. While something like January, okay, January 15th, 2025 is unacceptable. Remember, there must be a full stop after the what? The date. January 15th, 2025 is unacceptable. If you want to write the month before the what? The day, then the day must be written as just a cardinal number, 15, January 15, 2025. This is acceptable in WAEC and NECO. All right? So there are two formats of writing dates that are acceptable in WAEC and NECO. 15th January 2025 is acceptable, where the ordinal marker sits on the same level with the number. Don't raise the TH up or to the top of this 15. That does not represent date again, it means position. And this one, we must mark it wrong as well to tell you that it's unacceptable. In writing your date, after the day and the month, there must be a comma. Then after the year, full stop. What that means is that the date is not part of the address. That is why it must be separated by what? Full stop. The address must be separated by a full stop, and the date must be separated by what? A full stop. Now, I said at the beginning that this is called the what? The block format. Another way you can write your date, or rather the address, is the what? Slant format. And I want to quickly show that here before we move forward. So, if I want to rewrite this in slant format, then I will say something like, comma, then you leave an indent, okay, and you have something like, comma again. Don't forget to mark off the end of each line of your address with a comma. Very important. Then, GRO Ikeja, the same space that you left off to write the second line, you're going to leave it off again to write the third line, and here you will have full stop. But what now happens when you want to write the date in this type of address? The date will start from the beginning of the first line. And this is where students miss it again. So when they are writing slant, they think they are going to slant the date again. No. So you now bring the date here and go to the beginning of the first line and write 15th January 2025, full stop. So this is how to write the slant format. And then we what? Comma, comma, and full stop. I think I said this at the beginning of this video, that when you are writing your address, every major word of the address must begin with what? Capital letter. Every major word, every first letter of every major word in the address must begin with what? Capital letter. So when you are writing something like Ikeja senior, daddy senior carries small letter, you already get yourself into trouble. Or you want to write Ikeja, then some people will do something like this. So you're already preparing for what? Trouble. Another thing I will say still, before we leave off the writing of address, because many students get it wrong at this point, that is at the point of the address. And you know, first impression matters a lot. When I want to look at your piece of letter, I just go to the address and I see that the address is not working. I will have a lot of doubts in my mind that, look, I don't think this student is going anywhere with this letter because the student cannot even write the address. So when the address is well written, everybody will say, wow, I think this student has an idea of what to do. So let us get going. And the person would like to continue reading your letter. But when you start and you carry small letter, big letter, capital letter, and you just get everything like that, and the day you say 15 raised to power 8, 15th position of the month, oh my God, then there's going to be trouble. Before I leave off our discuss on address, Let me tell you as well that there is what you call the open format of writing address and the closed format. The closed format requires the use of punctuation, while the open format does not require the use of punctuation. So what that means is that you can as well write address for WAEC and NECO without using words. Punctuation, so you don't write it freely. But one thing with students, okay, let me just show it to you, then I will tell you some things that you must avoid. So if I say something like Ikeja High School, Ikeja Senior High School, don't put anything there, okay? Just leave it off. Then I say over Kijobi Road, don't put any punctuation. Then you go ahead and say Ikeja, don't put any punctuation. 15th January 2025, no punctuation. Simple. It's acceptable. Perfect. It's acceptable in WAEC and NECO examinations. So if you know that when you start by not putting punctuation on the first line, by the time you get to the second or third line, you are going to put punctuation. So you better start by putting punctuation, because when you get to the end of the day, you can't just full stop. They say, oh, this student doesn't have idea, or maybe he or she forgot to start with punctuation. Then you mark it down. Let me say something that is that's very important. You know that this address per se, I can categorically say, okay, although they change their marking scheme every year, I can say that this address carries a maximum of 3 marks. The address carries a maximum of 2 or 3 marks. Yes, let me say 2 or 3 marks. I know 2 marks for sure, okay? Do you know that this address that's supposed to give you 2 marks, if it is perfectly written, can cause you to lose 5 marks or even 10 marks? Do you know how that is going to happen? By the time you start writing and then senior comes out with small letter, they will circle it. Every mistake will be circled. Oh my God. They will start, no comma here, no comma here. Every word, error, okay, that is found with your address, we attract a deduction of half a mark. Maybe there's a mistake there, girl. You did put comma here, you know. And how many now? Let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Let's say this one also, you also made it small letter. So maybe at the end of the day you commit 8 errors. So 8 times half will give you what? 4 marks. So something that's supposed to give you a maximum of 2 or 3 marks will now cause you to lose what? 4 marks. Be very careful. So this is what you need to know about address writing. The next part of informal letter writing that we want to talk about now is the word salutation. Now, what do you mean by the salutation? It is a way of greeting the person that you are writing to. That is to open a conversation. All right. Now, we basically use a format, and that is to start with dear. So dear. Watch closely that I move my hand close to the edge of the board. The reason for that is that the D must start from the margin, from the line. Please don't forget that. So when you want to now start writing the salutation, you move your hand to the margin and let this D touch the margin, the line. So there. Then you know we say formal letter are written to people that are what? Related to us. Let's say you are writing to your mother. So you are going to say what? Dear mother. Dear mother. Come on. So dear mother, if it's your mother. If it's father, then this one can you also go to say dear father. But take note that this M must start with capital letter. So the idea of thinking you can write dear mother with the mother starting with small letter is unacceptable. Then what about when you are writing to your elder brother? When you're writing to your elder brother, don't use the name because you must show some signs of what? Respect. So in that case, let's say your brother is Samuel and it's your elder brother. You're going to say, dear brother Samuel. We are on salutation now. Please watch closely. Dear brother Samuel, come on. You must start it from the margin. You move like this. Then another warning is that the brother must start with capital letter. Then let's go over to friends now. What about where you are right? Okay, what about uncles. The same thing we apply to this. Let's say you are writing to Uncle John or Auntie Mary. Dear Uncle John, correct. Take note, the uncle will take capital because all of this is naming the uncle. It's naming the uncle, so this cannot take small letter. Now what about when you're writing to a friend? You know your friend is just your pally. Just call the person by name and say something like, let's say Mary is your friend. So when I say dear Mary, two things would come to mind. I will probably think that Mary is your friend or Mary is your younger sister. And I say dear Mary in a letter. Are you getting that now? Right, I think that is enough. So this is what you need to know about what? Salutation. The next one is going to be what? The body. The body of a letter can be split into introduction, body, conclusion, then before subscription. Alright, let's talk about the introduction because after dear Mary, dear mother, the next thing you would need to write is introduction. So how do you write the introduction? This is where many students again get it what wrong. Like when you talk about the introduction. When they want to write letters or informal letters, okay, they'll be shaking, oh my God, how am I going to write this letter now? You know, there is one traditional way of writing letters. Something like, I am very happy to write you this letter. I hope it meets you in good condition of health. If so, dosology. If not so, not dosology. No, there's nothing like that. So, that is an old method. I don't know whether students are still using that now. I remember in those days when we were in school, so we were fond of that. We say, I am happy to take my golden basket from my golden pen from my basket of education to write you. Oh my God, you're just beating about the bush. What do you do when you want to start an informal letter? Just like a conversation. So you just start it like a conversation. Okay, let's say you are writing to your elder brother. Quite well, you have written what? Let me just put that here. Dear Brother Samuel, I think we wrote that at the beginning or initially. So, dear Brother Samuel, please watch this because this is very important. Many students get it wrong again. Here, dear Brother Samuel. How do you start? Okay, I think there's something I should have mentioned when we're treating the dates. That when you're writing the dates and the letter is going within the states. Yeah, I forgot that, but now that I want to talk about writing the introduction, like how you're going to address Brother Samuel, where is he? It could be that Brother Samuel is not in in Lagos, he's in another state. But the date should show that, the address rather. I did remember that, but I think I can quickly show that. So in that case, I'm going to say something like Lagos. This is important. I forgot to mention that at the beginning, but we can't do it without the way we're going to talk about the introduction. So do you see this? So you show, you know the one we wrote before, we stopped at Ikeja because the letter probably was going within Lagos. But if the letter is going out of Lagos, then you must show what? Lagos. If the letter is going to another country, then after Lagos, you say what? Nigeria. So this is the highest point that your address can ever reach. Okay? So this is a letter that's going out of the country. This is, when you stop at Lagos, it's going out of the states. Please don't forget that. All right, let's go back quickly. Let's say you're writing a letter to your brother who is studying overseas. Yes. Although in our next episode on the writing on this channel, we are going to be lifting past questions from WAEC and NECO, and then we're going to be treating them and analyzing them. So that one would lead us into talking about so many more things, all right, that we probably have not touched in this video. All right, so now, let's say your brother is studying in another part of the country. Listen, forget about letter writing now. That is when you want to capture the introduction very well. You say, this is my brother. I have not seen him in a while. You ask yourself, if I should meet him now, how will I talk to him? Are you getting that? If I should meet him now, how will I talk to him? That is exactly how you should do the introduction to the letter. It's as simple as that. Let's say you are writing to your mom. You want to ask your mom to get you new school uniform or something like that. So you say, okay, how will I start the letter? Just ask yourself, like, if I should meet my mother, how will I start this conversation that will lead to asking her to buy me new school uniform? You communicate the way you would naturally communicate with the person. You write informal letter like the way you would naturally communicate with the person that you're writing to. So that is how to start an informal letter. So let's say something like, now that we are writing to our brother overseas, you can say, it has been a while. You are allowed to use contraction in informal letter. I will be talking about that later. It's been a while, brother Samuel. Full stop. You can even say something like, hello, brother Samuel, if you want to say it or start it out that way. You know why, brother Samuel? We are really missing you back here. Then you want to create emphasis. Honestly, we are really missing you back here. Honestly. Full stop. Honestly. So with this, it's been a while, brother Samuel. We're really missing you back here. Honestly. With this word alone, okay, brother what? Brother Samuel is going to really feel the emotion. Alright? We're still moving. Look at what we have done. It's been a while, brother Samuel. We are really missing you back here. Honestly. Good. So after saying two things like this, the next thing you should say, you are driving towards the purpose of the letter. The purpose of the letter must be mentioned or embedded in the introduction. But before you do that, at least I've said two things. The next thing you should say is, how are your studies? Okay? Yes, you should ask. That is what the person is doing if the person is studying there. But remember I said, let's say the person is studying everything. So you say, the why brother John is reading this is going to be moved emotionally. He said, it's been a while, brother Samuel. We're really missing you back here, honestly. How are your studies? Question mark. Please, this is question mark. Brother Samuel, come on. I know what you are capable of. We are not worried over your academic progress at all because we know what you are capable of. This is okay. Alright? After saying something like this, how many statements have I made? One. And what you have? Two. This is about how many now? Three. Am I correct? Four. So after this, you can introduce the purpose of the letter. We call this one pleasantry. What did I say we call this? We call this one what? Pleasantry. So when you are writing an informal letter, the introduction to an informal letter, you start with pleasantry. That is, it's been a while, brother Samuel, we're really missing you back here. Go how your studies, we know what you're capable of, so we are not worried about your academic progress. That's pleasantry. Then the next thing you are going to do is what? You now introduce what we call deep pleasantry. What does it? Don't write that. I think you should write that one down. We are going to introduce deep pleasantry. What is deep pleasantry? Pleasantry is that the greater the person, you're just making the person happy or comfortable, getting emotionally attached to you over the conversation. Then after that, the next thing you will do is to introduce the greetings to a more passionate or a more sympathetic level. That is what you call deep pleasantry. And how do you do that? Very simple. You try to touch on a past event that the person can easily reconnect with. Okay? But don't just select an event, okay, for the sake of it. You have to select an event that has something to do with the purpose of the informal letter, of the purpose of the letter. Are you getting that? So you craft it out. That is why they say that writing is a craft. It's an art. Just like the way someone would take a pen or pencil or colors and be drawing. That is how writing is. So you plan it to structure it the way you want it. Okay? With the way writing goes, one Flannery O'Connor, an American writer, says all writers are mad people, but not all mad people are writers. Because the way writing goes, the way the craft goes, you can just stick it wherever you wish and you just be playing on paper. And then the way you come out with all your written, people get blessed by reading it. Okay, so, all right, now, let's ask ourselves, although we are not working with a question here, let's say, okay, let's say something like, you were asked to tell Brother Samuel, who is studying overseas, about some changes that have taken place in the village. I can remember that type of question in the WAEC archive. Though in our next episode, we're going to be treating questions. So let's say you're writing this letter to discuss some changes that have taken place in the village with Brother Samuel. Brother Samuel, I know what you're capable of. So we are not worried over your academic progress at all. As I walked past the village square, or you can say the market square, yesterday, that you're not trying to recall a past event. That is how to introduce deep pleasantry. But select a, I said it before and I'm repeating it again. Select a past event that we have a connection with the purpose of the letter. Now you want to write to Brother Samuel, who is studying overseas, about some changes that have taken place in the village since he left the village. All right, so when you're going to select a deep pleasantry, a moment in the past, you can just say, as I walk past the market square, I remember how we used to sit on top of the Iroko stone to eat suya. Brother Samuel, when you come back to that place now, you will not recognize the scene. It has been translated into the United States of America. That is why I am writing this letter, to tell you about the changes that have taken place in the village since you went for your studies overseas. Perfect. Wow. You see that? So that is a great deep pleasantry. I'm going to put it here for you. So that's how to write a deep pleasantry. So let's start. I've already read it out. So let's go. So you say, our entire village has been translated into a city. Okay. Yeah. I hope you can still see what I'm writing. We have a challenge of board space. This is not the usual big concept board setting, so you can just bear with us. All right. So our entire village has been translated into what? A city. That is why I am writing this letter, to tell you the changes that have taken place in our village since you went overseas for your studies. Full stop. You are done with introduction. Wow. So that's how to do it. Is it interesting? Yes. Don't worry, you're going to see more of how to do things like this when I start treating past questions and then how to craft them out. Then those are we're going to work on the deep pleasantries together, and you see the way they work. So you see that this deep pleasantry that you have introduced here now cleverly what matches the purpose of the letter. That as I walk past the market square, I saw where we used to sit and eat here, you won't know the place again when you come back, when you see the place. It has been translated into a city. So that's why I'm writing this letter, to tell you the changes that have taken place in the village since you went overseas for your studies. Full stop. So this is how to write introduction. Now, the next thing we want to talk about is the body of the letter. Body. The body can usually be divided into three. We have what you call body 1, then you have what you call body 2, and then you have what you call body 3. And then after that, you would write your word, conclusion. In body 1, you know, you have told Samuel that you are writing, telling the changes that have taken place in the village since he went overseas for his studies. So, mention the word, the first change, and what? Explain. Body 2, mention the second change and explain. Number 3, mention the third change and what? Explain. That's all. You have done your job, at least. Because in most WAEC questions, they will say, and explain at least 3 things, or give 3 reasons. That's what they would usually say. So they would usually go into body 1, body 2, body 3, following the introduction paragraph. That would have given you 4 paragraphs already. Then now come to the conclusion. In the conclusion, very simple. So many students are afraid of this aspect of writing generally, whether letters or essays. And we're going to be discussing all of them in this series that we're just starting today. So in conclusion, okay, first, you try to summarize what you have told Brother Samuel. Oh, Brother Samuel, in this letter, I have just told you that if you come back to our village, you may not recognize most of the places you used to know. I've told you that this has taken place, that has taken place, this has taken place. Okay? I would like to, after repeating or reiterating the main point, and I say, I would like to know how you feel about these changes in your word reply or your next letter. So I've written that in anticipation of what? A response from him. After that, you now extend your word, greetings, to the people that you know he has over there with him. If you don't know anybody that he has there, just say, extend my greetings to your word, your friends, okay? And then your lecturers, if you like. So after sending greetings, you say, I look forward to what? Hearing from what? You. Full stop. So after writing that, you now come to the last part, which is called the subscription. What did I call it? So in the subscription, here you come to the word, the bottom right hand corner. and write yours sincerely, comma. After that, yours sincerely, then comma. Your name, first name only. Let's say your name is Rosemary. You start it from the same edge and say Rosemary. Take note, after writing this Rosemary, don't attach anything to it. No comma, no full stop. This is the only one that has a comma. You don't put anything here. Many students will say, yours sincerely Rosemary, full stop. No. Yours sincerely Rosemary. This is acceptable in WAEC. But if it is NECO, they would accept yours sincerely and they also accept yours affectionately. NECO can take yours affectionately and yours sincerely, but WAEC only takes yours what? Sincerely. And when you are writing this yours, the Y, alright, must start, that is the yours. The Y is in capital and the sincerely, the S is in what? Small letter. So when you write this sincerely in capital letter, you are going to be wrong, like yours what? Sincerely, and the sincerely is starting with capital letter. They're going to mark you down because this is wrong. And then another thing is your comma S is unacceptable. So don't write your comma S. In fact, as a matter of fact, there is no such expression as yours in English. There's no expression like this in English. So these are the things you must avoid when writing what? An informal letter. So in this video, we have discussed the general format of an informal letter having to do with address, the salutation, body part 1, body part 2, body part 3, conclusion, and then what? The subscription. You already have them on the board. Alright, I do hope you get something from this video lesson. If so, kindly give it a thumbs up and do remember to share with those that you think might need it. Till we meet again in our next episode. Bye.